Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly reading for August the 29th to September the 4th. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well. All right, my friends, let's get started and see what is the energy around the week ahead for Sagittarius. What is the energy? Ooh, regeneration. Love that. Truth be told. Orphaned in reverse. Flexible in reverse. Ooh, so many cards for you, Sag. Deep knowing, co-create. Okay, let's have a look at all of these. As they fell. Okay, so we see regeneration and truth be told. So that combination right there makes me feel like the true essence is coming back to life. There's something that may have been laying dormant for some time now because perhaps you were denying the truth about something to yourself, and now the truth will sort of come to light. And it almost feels like it's not like a truth, like you're going to find out something that's revealing the truth. It almost feels like you're going to acknowledge the truth about yourself, Sagittarius, and that somehow sparks you back to life. This makes me feel like perhaps you've been living in a bit of denial recently and denying some truth to yourself. I wonder. I do feel like you have a deep knowing though, and you may have been denying this. And so it feels like this week something is coming to light for you on an inner level. And what you're being guided to do here with this is to remain flexible. Don't be too stuck in a rigid way of thinking so that you can't be flexible to go with this regeneration. Do you know what I mean? That's interesting. And this co-create showing up in the reverse makes me think that a part of you feels like you have to do this alone. Whatever it is that you're doing these days, it feels like you've got this rigid belief that you're on your own. You can't ask for help. There's no support for you. You're out here alone and you've got to figure this out by yourself. And I feel like it's been very heavy. And it's caused a lot of emotions to come to the surface about on an inner level for you, Sagittarius. It almost feels like you have felt like you've been on your own trying to sort of make your way. And you've got this deep knowing that there's something about you that needs to come out. Like it almost feels like you're denying who you really are. And you're focused so much on plugging away and doing things in a certain way, and it's not helping you feel any lighter. Like if anything, it's making you feel really heavy, and it's making you feel like you're all alone when it sort of feels like that's not the case. But that and you might know that on a very deep level that you're actually not alone. But there's a part of you that's sort of just trying to plug through this all by yourself. Interesting. The bottom of the deck, I had a peek at it, was serendipity. And so that makes me think that you are going to experience some synchronicities, something showing up out of nowhere to sort of show you the truth about yourself and the true meaning of what's happening in your life right now. Ooh, this feels like it's going to be a heavy reading. Okay, let's jump into the tarot cards and see what the messages are for you, Sag. The serendipity makes me feel like, all will be well. And that this has a deeper meaning to it than just what's happening on the surface. And that it could be that you're going through this to see the truth about yourself, that you're not, that you're unique, and that what works for so-and-so might not work for you, and that's okay. There's no reason to make comparisons or feel less than. that's sort of what's going on here for me. That's what I'm feeling here. Interesting. Okay, let's see. What is the tarot cards going to reveal for you, Sagittarius? There's the Six of Swords. So I feel like you need to get distance from some thoughts. There's something you need to get distance from because it's taking you down a path where you feel like things are very limited in the physical world. Now we see the Lover's card coming out. So this could involve a relationship that has got you sort of wrapped up in a sense that it's not serving you somehow. You might be overly focused on the material world right now instead of, like I said, the bigger picture. You might just be looking at money, time, and resources, which is something that as humans we do all the time. We tend to focus on where's the money coming from, how do I collect my resources so that I can live the life that feels like right for me, and where am I going to get the time for all of the things to get done so that I can accumulate those resources and receive the sort of the outcomes that I'm interested in. And sometimes we have to look beyond that. Sometimes we have to look beyond that. It's challenging because, we live in a material world in as far as our eyes can see, right? That's where we are. And sometimes we lose track of the fact that there's more going on than just that. So I feel like there's some thoughts that you've been having that aren't really serving you. There is something happening here in a relationship, and you're seeking the truth on that. You're definitely a truth seeker, but something has sort of created this energy within you. I think for some of you, this is going to be about another person, like a love interest. And you're sort of now a little bit like, oh, okay, sorry, as I'm sort of sussing this out, it almost feels like something happened within this dynamic that turned you cold. It turned you cold. You don't feel very flexible, and that, yeah, it's almost like you feel like there's no options, and that you've missed an opportunity perhaps to have some emotional celebration. I feel like you're carrying a lot of burdens here by yourself. Like we said, you're not out there asking for support. You're sort of just trudging along, getting things done, but you're burning yourself out, Sagittarius. You're burning yourself out. There's something that needs to you need distance from a certain way of thinking. You need to heal from a certain instance where you felt like you were out on your own. It's too many cards. Let's shuffle again. Yeah, it almost feels like now you've become a little bit cold and distant from something, but you're keeping your eye on it. You might be keeping your eye on it from a distance, though, to see what's going to happen. But as you do that, it's almost like that is making you feel more and more alone the more you look at it from a distance. There is something that needs healing and grounding here, and some self-sufficient energy where you're taking care of yourself, and that you're not necessarily only focused on keeping the status quo. To some degree, some change needs to happen in this scenario. There's something that definitely needs to change. Some more gratitude will be helpful for you. Seeing the Seven of Cups in reverse now, that says to me that you might not be seeing all of the signs and synchronicities around you because you're sort of focused. You're focused on this way of thinking, and it's a cold. There's a coldness to it here, Sagittarius. It feels like you have given up a little bit, okay, and that you're feeling blocked by indecision, that you're fearing your own decisions right now, because you're like, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I go in the wrong direction, and you're almost at a place right now where your energy's so unfocused, and there's actually a need here for you to hold back this sort of unpredictable feeling that you have when it comes to making a decision. It's interesting. You don't, it's almost like you're feeling like there isn't a way out of this. And yet it feels like you have this deeper knowing within that everything's going to be fine. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're going through a battle of the self right now, Sagittarius, where on one hand, and this could be why we're seeing the Lovers. For some, this could have involved a relationship, but for some of you, it might just be that you're polarized within, and you're needing some grounding to come back to yourself. Because on one hand, it's like on the surface, things appear to be very, very chaotic and not within a reasonable amount of control. Like you're feeling a little bit out of control on the surface, especially when it comes to making decisions about what to do with yourself and where to go next and where you feel like you belong. That all seems to be up in the air. You might have some thoughts like you missed out on an opportunity that came up, that maybe you rejected an opportunity and now you're sort of feeling like that wasn't the right decision, so you don't trust yourself to make decisions. And it's almost like you need to slow this all down and go a level deeper to really touch base with your intuitive self, to be like, what's really happening here? Like, what's the bigger picture? Because I think that you're starting to see where you don't fit so that you can understand where you do fit. But you're at the point where you might be comparing yourself to other people. You might be becoming very rigid in your thinking. You might be feeling like you don't have enough. And that is taking you down that path of the lack mindset, where you're starting to say to yourself, I'm screwed. I don't have enough. I won't have enough. I don't know how to get myself to a place where I'm out of survival mode and I'm thriving. And it's interesting seeing that Four of Wands here at the end of your tarot cards. It's sort of saying to me, like, you almost need to stop looking for what's missing and start looking at what's present. Because there's something within you, Sagittarius, that wants to express itself, but it can't right now because things are a little bit rigid mentally, and it's not able to sort of come through. So I feel like by assessing where you're grateful, you might have some lightening of this feeling. Let's see what you need to surrender to in order to sort of get out of this foggy place. It almost feels a little foggy and dense. And it's very heavy feeling of like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know where to turn. And I feel all alone, it's sort of that kind of feeling. And it could just be coming from overly focusing on the material and feeling that lack. Surrender worry just flew out. Surrender to your soul's path. Surrender to rest and sleep. Interesting. This is what feels like it's regenerating. This is the deep truth that's coming out. Your deep knowing has to do with your soul's path. And I think you're trying to sort out what that is this week. And you might have been trying to sort that out last week too. And you might still be trying to sort it out next week. But it's almost like you're on the path of figuring this out. And the more we resist that idea of surrendering to ourselves, in a sense, that empowering surrender, it almost feels like you need to put your mind at rest when it comes to some of these other thoughts. It says here, your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment because they're all revealing something to you. Surrender worry. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and the faith that your spirit is guiding you always. Always. And so it's interesting. I think sometimes we get in our own way by overly focusing on the material, and then we start to freak out and we spin out. Surrender to sleep and rest. So you might, you know, when I said put your mind at rest and try to shift into a more gratitude mindset, it's interesting to see this card. To prevent burnout, which is, I think, what's happening. I think I even said that you're burning out here. Slow down. Honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. Are you noticing, Sagittarius, that while you're trying to get rest, your mind is racing and you can't stop thinking about things and making plans about how you're going to do this and that? It might be time to just surrender to what is and sort of have a more flexible mindset. That's very interesting. I'm going to leave it at that for you this week, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. I hope it's been helpful. I look forward to reading for you again soon. Sending you so much love and light, my friends. Take care.